What's going on, fellow A-plussers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode. It is I, your host with the most, Adam Perez, as we are back once again to tackle a brand new episode of WandaVision. Just debuted last Friday, guys. They had episodes 1 and 2 wind up dropping on Disney+. If you haven't checked it out, please go ahead and do yourselves a favor. But we are back on this bandwagon, ladies and gentlemen, and go ahead and talk about episode number 3 that just went ahead and dropped earlier this morning. And we're here to certainly go ahead and talk about it and break it all down for you guys. So spoiler discussion certainly headed your way. So if you haven't had the opportunity to check out episode 3, pause this video, maybe put it on your watch list, and certainly come back to it after you've watched this week's episode. So it's not just me back here to go ahead and tackle Miss Wanda Maximoff herself. I also have Stuart Branscombe in the house. What's going on, Stuart? Good to see you, man.
Hey, not much. Just really excited to talk about another WandaVision episode, and yeah, having a pretty chill day today, not gonna lie.
Good to hear, man. Good to hear. It's I know Indy was probably expected to join us. I know he's running a little bit late. We'll see if he winds up popping in whenever he gets the opportunity to. If not, it'll just be us today talking about all the wonder that certainly is WandaVision, as Marvel is in fact back, ladies and gentlemen. This is our first first series from their MCU Disney Plus stuff, and really their first kind of content since, if I'm not mistaken, Spider-Man 3. Is that Spider-Man 2, Far From Home? Is that right, Stuart?
Yeah, if you don't count the
Agents of S.W.O.R.D.
the Agents of S.W.O.R.D, yeah, this is the first Marvel content that we've gotten since Spider-Man Far From Home. Yeah, I don't know why I forgot that for a second.
It's okay, trust me. I said Spider-Man 3 because I'm so pumped for it, so it's more than fine, man. But this week, guys, we got the opportunity to kind of jump a little bit ahead in regards to decades when it comes to them paying homage to some of the fantastic sitcoms of the past. We saw Bewitched last week, the I Love Lucy, if you will. This week, I definitely got that 70's vibe. We've got some color coming into the scheme here. Definitely feeling some Brady Bunch sort of Partridge Family vibes. Is that what you were getting to, Stuart?
Yeah, I've never watched Partridge Family, but I've definitely seen like a couple episodes of the Brady Bunch, and that's definitely the vibe I got from this episode for sure.
Yeah, I definitely do get a ton of Brady Bunch vibes in here. Also, I love just what they do each and every week so far. I mean, we've only seen it 3 times, but it feels as though they change. I don't know if they changing the theme song each week for WandaVision, as they're also changing up just the intro itself. Like, I love that, just following its decades, going from like the cartoon style and then to this intro. But I wasn't picking up on the lyrics for the actual theme itself. Are they doing different themes each week, it seems like to you?
Yeah, I think I don't think they're putting too much effort into the lyrics. I think the lyrics are changing every week. They're just what they're about is slightly different based on their situation. So, you know, now that it's going to be them raising 2 kids, I'm sure that next week when they cover the 80s sitcom era, it's going to be a theme song about them raising 2 kids and not knowing how to be parents, and or not necessarily not knowing how to be parents, but not knowing how to raise kids with superpowers while they also have superpowers, kind of like, I guess, Incredibles.
I am kind of curious as to what sitcoms they're going to kind of touch upon. I mean, if you kind of look at the trailers a little bit, it does seem as though there's going to be maybe some Full House in there. I am wondering if they're going to go to like Who's the Boss in here also, for maybe like an 80s vibe. And now that I'm kind of thinking about the decades, I'm trying to think of what were the prominent sort of family sitcoms that were huge back then, right? Like I think there was even like Step by Step that used to be on TGIF. Like, I'm wondering how deep we're really going to be going in regards to this sitcom. If you had to guess, what kind of other sitcoms do you think we're expected to see from the 80s and maybe 90s?
Man, you know, for the 80s, I'm not sure. I don't know of many that I watched that were actually from the 80s, but when it comes to the 90s, that's where I'm thinking, you know, we're going to get like a bunch of everything, because that's when I feel like sitcoms were kind of at their peak, you know, because then, you know, we had oh my gosh, where's the list start? You know, got Family Matters, you know, all the ones on TGIF, Nick at Night, and Home Improvement is also one I'd love to see. In fact, one thing I was thinking that would be funny is if in when they cover the 90s, the fence gets bigger, so like you have the neighbor, but you don't see his face again. Yeah, you just see his eyes the whole time. And then, yeah, I feel like there's so much that they can do. And then if they go to the 2000s, man, I hope they give us another That 70's Show reference. But you know, kind of make it like with that 70's Show humor, because I love that they got one of the actresses from that show. For
yeah,
sure.
which you saw in episode 1. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we'll see what they wind up getting themselves into, but so far I've really been enjoying sort of the nostalgic factor here. I do think that this has become just honestly one of the more unique things that I've ever seen sort of Marvel tackle. I mean, we talked about it at the very beginning last week, the idea of this being a very risky sort of return for the MCU, or just a risky theme for them to certainly go ahead and tackle. But if you ask me, I certainly think it's paying off in spades. Definitely, probably not something that I think everybody's going to get on board with. It may not feel like it's something for everybody, but I think there is just a hint of nostalgia and just really great storytelling and just such a uniqueness about it that I think people will honestly be drawn to it, to be perfectly honest with you. Let me see who's actually Indy's joining us. He wound up throwing up a quick comment. Hey, Indy, if you want to get in on the conversation, if you're able to, man, feel free to for certainly come in. I don't know exactly how far he is away from home, but if you get a chance, Indy, definitely go ahead and jump on in here. So let's go ahead and talk about this episode this week, Stuart, because this episode really was the idea of Wanda literally giving birth, like her 9 months pregnancy, all within like 30 minutes. Is really what it kind of wound down to. Getting an opportunity to see the doctor come by, checking on her and things like that. I love just the kind of back and forth between her and Vision of trying to come up with kid names, either Billy or Tommy sort of thing. So I did have a little bit of fun of those two enjoying this sort of quick birthing experience, if you will, and just all the shenanigans that winds up kind of taking place. One of the things that kind of was like a little bit off the wall and weird for me was Wanda's water breaking, and then like all the like a sprinkler system just came down. It wasn't, and the fact that it wasn't even in just her house, but also in Geraldine's house. Also, that's the reason why she comes over with a bucket. Also, it just really goes to show you just exactly just how much Wanda's abilities are certainly affecting not only her, but this entire time, especially during this pregnancy moment. So 9 months of Wanda's pregnancy in 30 minutes. What did you think about this episode in general, Stuart?
If I'm being honest, a bit underwhelming. Like, not that it was a bad episode. I definitely had some chuckles here and there, but I didn't find myself ever like laughing out loud. I don't think during the entire episode, unfortunately. The situations that they were in, much like in the previous two episodes, were pretty obvious. You could tell exactly where each gag was going to be going based on like kind of just the setup alone. However, it didn't seem like the actors in this were going as all out with it as they were in the previous two episodes. This really kind of, to me, felt like an episode that they needed to make, but they weren't really thrilled about making. It was like, okay, we're doing this because we have to, but we'll get it done. We won't like be lazy about it or anything. We're still going to put effort, but we're not going to be as balls to the wall as we were in the previous two episodes.
No, I definitely would agree with you there. Like, while I enjoyed the episode, it definitely was a little bit more underwhelming than what I got from the first two. Like, for me, sometimes I honestly felt like the stork scene with Geraldine there while she's sitting on the couch and she's trying to explain this huge story about what happened to her job to Wanda. Wanda's clearly not paying attention to her because she's trying to distract the stork and kind of get it to kind of rush off. Like, I honestly almost wasn't even paying attention during that entire time because it felt, I don't want to say filler or anything like that, but there was just nothing eventful about it, if you will, besides the fact that I just kept questioning Geraldine's, her perspective. Like, can you not see the stork like right next to you? Like, what's up with your peripheral view? Like, you can't see what's going on over here. So that whole segment was certainly dragged on. But other than that, I mean, that's really the only thing that kind of took me out of it. But yeah, it definitely wasn't as like fun as, say, like the magician parlor or the magician tricks, when they had the in episode 2, if you will, when you had the two of them trying to be the magician and his cohort, or the person that helps him out, sort of thing. So yeah, it definitely a little bit underwhelming. But I will say this: once they get out of sort of the sitcom vibe of things and they really devote like the last 5 or 10 minutes of the episode to a sort of like a more cinematic feel, it always gets me. And I think when I'm watching this episode, even though it was underwhelming, there's a part of you that always is waiting for that one moment or that one thing to be said to kind of make you go into that creepy tone or that creepy atmosphere or vibe of the show, especially when you come to things like Vision questioning what's happening, right? you clearly remember this. They clearly get to see the scene between Geraldine and Wanda when the Ultron name winds up getting name dropped, if you will, and then things really kind of start getting serious. So I find myself sitting down, waiting for those moments, kind of chuckling in between with the sitcom stuff. But at least when it comes to this episode, the Geraldine and the Stork stuff maybe ran a little bit too long and kind of took me out the episode a little bit. But outside of that, I didn't mind the episode, but I definitely get what you're saying, Stuart.
Yeah, and I definitely do agree with you with that. Like when we start to get more reveals in this episode, I think that was when the episode was at its strongest. I especially love the whole thing with Vision going outside and then seeing his neighbor, you know, as he's like trimming his hedges, but then, you know, ends up going like right into the brick wall and then just is like casually reacting to it. Like I couldn't tell at first if that was like meant to be like a joke as part of the sitcom or if it was supposed to be like a hint that something isn't really going right. And then you kind of see like as Vision is trying to talk about it with Wanda, it's a little bit of both. Like it is kind of there for the comedy aspect, but it's also there for a little bit of a warning sign, if you will, for Vision. And I also love that scene where he's trying to tell Wanda about it, because I actually thought the first time it happened, you know, because Disney Plus will have this every once in a while. If I have like an issue, it'll like either like skip a frame or it'll like kind of boot back a frame. And so when I saw it go back, you know, about 5 seconds before the conversation got serious, I actually thought for a moment, oh man, am I having internet issues here? And then realizing, no, that was done on purpose. And I love that there was no, there was nothing like what we got in the previous episode where we see Wanda rewinding things. No, we didn't get that. We just see it just jumped right to it. And I thought that was really clever.
I can't lie, Stuart. Like the same thing happened to me, because when it happens, I was like, what the hell just happened? And then he says something completely different. I'm like, wait, did I miss something? Like what? I literally had to rewind like 10 seconds to go back over that scene again, because it was just edited so weird and so cleverly, just to kind of show Wanda's just brief use of her abilities when she starts realizing that, that Vision is kind of catching on a little bit. But yeah, you're not the only one, Stuart. I was like, what the hell was that? Like, what just happened? But it was just so smooth and super clever. But listen, guys, it's not just us that certainly want to go ahead and give our thoughts about this week's episode of WandaVision. It looks as though Sir Nerd Mix-a-Lot has made it to the channel this week. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you in here, man.
What's going on, man?
How you been, Indy? How was work today, bro?
The 1 hour I took to sit down and watch WandaVision was amazing.
Nice, man. What are your overall thoughts of the episode? Have you been following us as we've been starting?
Yes. The minute I got in the car and I saw you guys go live, I started following what you were saying.
Go ahead.
We don't have to repeat ourselves.
Yeah, man. Go ahead and give your thoughts on episode 3. What did you think? Stuart felt it was pretty underwhelming, or kind of underwhelming, but still enjoyed the episode. I'm right there along with them. But what are your thoughts, man?
I enjoyed the episode, and I think it was underwhelming on purpose because this episode was set up for some stuff that I think is happening. Because I've been paying attention to what's been going on, like in the first 2 episodes. Wanda had total control over everything that happened. Like nothing, no matter what was going on, she can control anything that can happen. One thing I noticed with that stork is she couldn't make that stork go away.
Good point. Yeah, it was. Oh, she tried twice at least to try and make it go away, and nothing changed.
She couldn't make it go away. So my thing that I'm thinking is, it's possible that the stork is just like some type of representation of something that's as powerful as her. That's why I said in the group chat, I was like, the stork is Mephisto. Like hands down. That's him there watching, trying to make stuff happen. Like, maybe wondering how Wanda is getting so powerful, doing what she's doing. I think there's more going on. Just like I'm pretty sure we know the neighbor that keeps popping up out of random. I'm pretty sure that's Akatha. And Akatha is a witch.
No, the which you mean Catherine Hahn, the one that comes by all the time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm thinking those are the 2 that are as powerful, you know what I'm saying, as Wanda. They know what's going on. I think Agatha's there to possibly try to break whatever's going on. And Mephisto, I believe, is using this to try to use Wanda to get into the physical realm.
I like the theories, man. I like the theories there. I definitely am leaning towards your Mephisto theory, just because of the fact of just maybe some of his involvement that he's had in regards to the kids of Wanda's. I'm not too familiar with Agatha though, but I definitely will be fascinated by that. But what do you think, Stuart?
I mean, I'm kind of more under the impression of like her pregnancy just made it so she wasn't able to have as much control of her powers as she usually does. And that's why we see a lot of, especially in the kitchen, we see like things going haywire all over. We literally see it raining inside the house itself. So I think it's a little less that there's another being there controlling things. I think it's more about like her just losing control of her own powers. Or it could also be like just the kids themselves having, despite being infants at this point, themselves having their own power that they have yet to fully realize.
Definitely a possibility there also, man. I will say this, going back to what you just said, Stuart, in regards to seeing everything going crazy at their household. Is anybody else just impressed with how they are managing to do some of these special effects and things like that? Like, I've never knew how they did that kind of stuff back in the 60s or 70s anyway. So to kind of see Marvel replicating just some of those cool features for Wanda's abilities, like having her coat come on, or just the little things that we've been seeing over the past 3 episodes. I'm really impressed with how they're kind of pulling this off.
Yeah, with the coat part, I think that was just kind of like, a simple but effective effect of just like having her stand still, then switching coats, like, and then having her continue to like move around. But the fact that it's all done, like I think with the kitchen, when you had like the water in the sink kind of bubbling and like kind of, rising up, and then you had, I believe it was like the fridge, moving around. The part that was impressive to me is that I think they're still doing this all in real time. So in other words, I think they're like. Yeah, I don't think anything is done in post. Like, I think they're all doing it like in one shot, with the exception of the few scenes that are there to feel cinematic. I think the scenes that are supposed to replicate a sitcom are all done in real time, like an actual sitcom.
No, I definitely do agree with you there. I mean, just looking at some of the scenes and the shot selections that they have, you can still see the stuff kind of moving around. So it definitely feels like it's happening in front of them. I just don't know what the execution of that is. So I'm hoping that there's a behind the scenes or a featurette that comes out for this show, if it hasn't already, to kind of highlight what it is, like how they certainly pull this off. Going back to something that you said, Indy, in regards to the neighbors, one of the things that will jump out at me, while I do agree with your Mephisto theory, the only reason why in regards to the Agatha stuff, and maybe she certainly is, but I definitely get the sense that these characters, like these people that are her neighbors, I almost feel like they are actually the townspeople of Westview that are certainly just sort of under some type of spell or playing a part that Wanda has for them. Like the idea that when Vision does come out of the house and he sees Dottie and Herb talking with one another, he clearly wants to tell them something, right? He's saying something along the lines of, she came here because we're all, and he wouldn't finish his sentence, referring to Geraldine, right? Because they clearly think Geraldine's an outsider, it seems as though. Talking, kind of gossiping a little bit, she came here, she doesn't have a family, she really came out of nowhere, sort of thing. And clearly Herb thinks that she came there for a reason. And I felt like he was about to say that she came here because they're trapped, because they can't kind of escape what it is that they're in. It feels as though there are moments where they're under this spell and then they kind of break out of it and they're trying to maybe hint or get some help, but they are not able to. And so the fact that we see them not going fully to tell Vision what's going on, to see Wanda every time he starts kind of getting a little bit closer to realizing that something's wrong and Wanda's trying to quickly fix it. It definitely feels as though she's really keeping these people trapped there against their will. Like, I don't think she's creating this so much like a brand new reality, so much as we saw at the end of this episode. Westview is clearly sort of entrapped with some sort of force field around it. And so I'm thinking it's a combination of like her altering reality, but literally trapping these Westview people inside and not letting them escape. Is that the vibe that you're kind of getting from what you wind up seeing in this episode, or do you have a different view on that?
No, I'm totally rocking with that, because I really feel that everything that is happening is from Wanda's doing. But I feel that with the being that Mephisto is, that's what he does. He's a demon. He's a multiversal demon, that tricks heroes and villains alike into, you know what I'm saying, giving them their wants and their desires in order for him to be able to get what he wants to do. Now, the comics that this seems like it's inspired from, and when we talk with Marvel, we say inspired because they can go a whole left route over anything that they're doing, but they do take inspiration from the comics. Mephisto was reborn through the twins that she had. Because without her knowing it, she channeled part of Mephisto's soul in order to create her twins, and then he comes and he ends up absorbing the twins, in order to bring like his physical self forward. That you know what I'm saying? That's how the storyline. That's honestly what I think they're hinting to, but they could be also doing that to throw us off to something, giving us something we know in order to throw us off a trail of a, you know what I'm saying, direction they want to do. So just taking the breadcrumbs that they're giving us, I'm looking at it like this is a cool way to set that up without having everything else in the world built. This is like the smartest way to do it, to introduce this character, because we know Kang the Conqueror is coming soon. I mean, they're leading up to that, and I think it's going to be where we're not going to have a big bad like a Thanos for a while. It's going to be multiple, you know what I'm saying, villains that are really hard to take down, but we won't have that, you know what I'm saying, multiversal threat for a minute. And this is the perfect enemy for, you know what I'm saying, Wanda to have to deal with, or also the perfect enemy to be brought to the forefront with everything that's going to go on with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and the team ups that a lot of them villains have trying to take down Doctor Strange.
Yeah, we'll definitely see if Mephisto definitely is going to be playing a big role in this or not. Or like you said, maybe they are kind of taking liberties with their adaptation of the story a little bit, and maybe we have a different way of kind of looking at it. So we'll definitely see what Mephisto's influence is going to be, if there certainly is any. But I'm glad that you brought up the idea here of what it is like in the comic books. And just to cut, so for those of you who don't know, in the comic books, Vision and Wanda certainly do have twins of their own or kids of their own. This was the 12-issue limited series that they wind up having that really showcased just the birth of these two, Billy as well as Tommy. So I also want to go ahead and bring this up here and talk with you guys about this, because I found this really interesting here, talking about who are Vision and Wanda Maximoff kids in the comic book. So it says things unfold a little bit differently for Wanda and Vision in the comic books, even though they end up with twins named Billy and Tommy. As seen in the 1985's Vision and Scarlet Witch Volume 2, Wanda channeled a whole lot of magic into herself to create life, the child that she and her husband Vision so desperately wanted. But by the end of that 12-issue series, she gives birth to twin sons, names them both Tommy as well as Billy. But then it also says here, it says but the comic books being comics, there's nowhere near the end of Billy and Tommy's story. It says 4 years later in 1989's Avengers West Coast, it was revealed that Billy and Tommy were actually the result of Wanda experiencing a false pregnancy and using her own probability altering hex powers, as well as a lot of magic to conjure the twins into being. But it says over time, the spell eventually winds up wearing off. But it does say that it was revealed that in order to give her wish, her twins' life, Wanda snatched 2 shards of the soul of Mephisto. Mephisto reclaimed those shards, and Wanda and Vision's children disappeared for good. So yeah, Mephisto certainly does have a huge role to certainly play. And then they wind up coming back into the Marvel universe here as Wiccan, who is in fact Billy, and then you've got Tommy, who is in fact Speed over here also. Those are actually going to be twin brothers and eventually reunited with their mother in WandaVision, or should I say that with the Scarlet Witch. So these two characters, in regards to Billy and Tommy, definitely do have a pretty interesting history and backlore. I'm assuming as this season goes along, we're probably going to see them as kids, kind of growing up. I'm assuming, huh? You think like not just babies, but I'm thinking small children running around and stuff too, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go first.
No, it's just something why the Agatha thing I was thinking about it. I feel like, especially with Disney Plus, they be going a totally bunch of different ways with this, because there was a comic that was started like in 2020 where Agatha was a member of like the Daughters of Liberty, and the members of that group were like Harriet Tubman, Alexa Volkanoff, I think it was, and like Peggy Carter. And you know what I'm saying? They're like group people to come and save. But Akatha is a big deal when it comes to Scarlet Witch, because one, she's her teacher. She's the one who teaches her how, you know what I'm saying, to be a witch, to learn all her spells. The second thing is she's the one that erases Wanda's memory from her kids when she takes them away. She's the one who makes her kids disappear. She's also killed by Scarlet Witch at one time after she finds out about that. And then Scarlet Witch's mother resurrects Akatha. And she's like over 12,500 years old. So it's she's seen a lot, you know what I'm saying, what goes on. And it's something to where I feel like I think Marvel has a plan and we're only seeing like the tip of what's going on, because
Marvel always has a plan, man.
Because if they keep her at the age that she's at, that means she's been around just as long as the Eternals.
We'll see. We'll see if there's any reference to her or not. They haven't mentioned her yet, so we'll see if she pops up in here, though.
I think there's a lot of legitimacy to that because of the fact that during the Halloween previews that we've seen for Vision dressed up literally as Vision for Halloween, and then Scarlet Witch literally dressed up as Scarlet Witch for Halloween, we see Akatha dressed up as a witch in that one scene where she tells Vision that he's dead. So this actually kind of has my mind somewhat kind of changing on what might be going on. Like maybe what we see as a result of a battle between Scarlet Witch and Akatha in a way. It's definitely a possibility as well. Or maybe it's just Akatha. Maybe this isn't fully her reality. It's a reality that Akatha helped her create. And essentially it's one where, because to me, it kind of feels like a lot of times Wanda's mind is like kind of in sync with the rest of the show, essentially, and it only kind of comes back to normal when we see things that just don't seem in the right place. So I wonder if part of the deal is that, you know, as Wanda's like creating this reality, her mind is basically forgetting about her old reality until like hints about this not being a real reality like come up, and then she suddenly starts to remember where she came from, and that's when she uses her powers to just like not only erase Vision's memory but her own memory as well. Like she's just trying to completely forget about the real world.
What if all of this? I'm sorry. What if all of this is part of her training, and Mephisto ended up poisoning the training when he found a way to get in?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, I don't. I mean, that's just a bunch of speculation at this point.
That's exactly
what actually happened in the episode. So, like, I mean, it's certainly possible. We'll see how far it goes. I'm expecting, if anything, like I would like to see if there's any backstory kind of told to see how we got to this point. With Geraldine's inclusion as part of S.W.O.R.D and her sort of being thrusted back into our reality, I really would like to see a moment of Monica, if you will, in the real time, kind of speaking with these other S.W.O.R.D agents to kind of at least give us some backstory as to how we got to this particular point. Because the last time that we saw Wanda was at the end of Endgame, and while we know she certainly was going through some sorrow with the loss of, you know, not only other Avengers but also her Vision and things like that, I would like to see a little bit of a catch up to let us know how we got here, so that hopefully it would certainly shed some light on what's going on inside of Wanda's mind. But you know what you said there, Stuart, in regards to Wanda kind of coming back to reality when certain things happen, we definitely see that perfectly as an example with Geraldine when she mentions Pietro. The idea that she has twins, which reminds her of her brother Pietro from Age of Ultron as Quicksilver, and it immediately kind of makes that connection with him, with her, of her past. Just the idea of singing the song to her twins. I'm assuming a song that her mother wound up singing to her when she was younger, and then just watching that tear come down her face when she remembers and recalls the death of Pietro by Ultron himself. And you quickly realize that she comes back to reality after that. She recognizes what's kind of going on, and she doesn't like it, bro. Like it's almost like she doesn't want to live in this reality that we find themselves in, and she's truly just trying to make up this make-believe world where she can kind of forget everything that certainly happens. I love those moments, though, man. I absolutely love those moments, because even when Vision comes back home after dropping off the doctor, when he comes back in the house from talking with the neighbors, and you just see that one still shot of Wanda staring at the camera or looking at her kids. She just gets that like really eerie and creepy kind of smirk on her face a little bit, saying, when she references Geraldine going back home because she wind up sending her back home. I just love the transition also when we go from the traditional ratio of like the old screen televisions, and then it slowly goes out into widescreen to that more cinematic form. I love those moments of breaking reality for WandaVision. So I'm for Wanda. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah. I have to say that was like a perfect way to like end that episode, going right from, old school aspect ratio to full screen, and then go into the cinematic widescreen with the bars on top afterwards. That was absolutely incredible for sure. Yeah.
Let's see who's in the live chat with us. I think we got Isaiah over here today. What's up, Isaiah? Appreciate you coming through. We got Dino Real Soul Fury. I'm assuming that's probably going to be AJ, as always, certainly coming through. So we definitely appreciate it, guys. But yeah, we get the reference of S.W.O.R.D once again in here, off of Geraldine's necklace this time around. She also seems as though she's living kind of in this world, but she clearly knows more about Wanda, the idea that she's the one that winds up dropping her brother's name in here. Again, I think there is a part of everybody that's trying to fight against this spell that's kind of being put on them. And those are really some of my favorite moments of seeing when people kind of snap back into reality. And then we just kind of go from there and see the mayhem that Scarlet Witch winds up showcasing to everybody. But great stuff though in regards to that. But I would agree with you, Stuart. A little bit underwhelming, but still nothing to take away from a solid episode, one that I definitely enjoyed, but was certainly maybe looking for a little bit more. But they keep me on the edge of my seat, man. They really do.
Yeah. And I do agree with what you said. I do hope at some point we get a episode that, doesn't have to break the format fully, but we can like it a little bit of back and forth, so we can switch from, WandaVision, and then we can go to the outside real world and see what's like actually going on in the perspective of S.W.O.R D, because we don't fully know what it is that they're trying to do. And I would love to see like an episode kind of fully dedicated to that.
Yeah, and I do want to ask Indy a question here, because one of the last things I do want to bring up. Are you back, Indy? One of the things I do want to bring up is the commercial that we wind up getting here. The Hydra, what was it? The Hydra soak commercial.
Yeah,
like a relaxation powder. Listen, I don't know too much about this, Indy, but there were a lot of people on Twitter today that were referencing the idea that that's an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reference. Do you recall that being an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reference at all? The Hydro soak, or
yes,
like a bar of soap or something like that?
Yes.
Do you recall how it played out?
It was a joke. I don't remember exactly what the joke was, but I do know that was a play, and it was another Hydra hint somewhere in the episode. I remember where it was because I wrote it down at work and then left the paper at work. But there was that and another Hydra reference in there. And then I've been paying attention to like the openings and different stuff they've been doing. They're real big on hexagons, and they're real big on having 3 hexagons at a time, which also led me to the Mephisto stuff, because 3 hexagons, 6 sides, 666, mark of the beast, you know what I'm saying, type thing. And that she keeps seeing that a lot of times when she sees the S.W.O.R.D logo. So maybe it's something where something might be trying to tell her that the S.W.O.R.D logo might be bad, and that's like twisting her mentality to think that when she sees that logo, it means something bad is going to happen, type deal. So I don't know, but the Hydra thing, especially with the experiences that she had in Age of Ultron and not trusting S.H.I.E.L.D. because S.H.I.E.L.D. was infiltrated by Hydra and everything other going on, that it is very interesting if somebody's actually trying to use that to twist, her mind a little bit, or if she's still not, 100% cool with herself to start off with.
I think the meme that I saw on Twitter about the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing was Agent Coulson explaining to Daisy that they had there was like a Hydra soap that when you washed with it, it like hypnotized you or brainwashed you or something like that, to making you think that you were on like vacation or you went to Haiti or some shit like that. Yeah. I can't remember, but so I don't know. I see a lot of people trying to make that connection with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in this particular commercial.
I think there's a lot of Yeah, I think there's a lot of connection too between the whole Bermuda thing and the
Mhm.
Bermuda Triangle, and
Mhm.
then the whole Tahiti thing. I think that's all connected. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying as well. Just talking about the Bermuda Triangle. Why would the Doctor be going on a, you know what I'm saying, a vacation to Bermuda, the one place where he be lost? You know what I'm saying, type deal. So I think all that ties into different things.
And I'm glad you brought up I'm glad you brought up the Doctor too, because he's another one that winds up telling Vision the idea that isn't it funny that sometimes you just can't leave someplace, right? That sometimes you just feel trapped in where that you just can't get out. Like I love just the subtleties that they wind up dropping in here to be like, there's something going on, guys. I love the mystery behind this show. I really do.
Same here, especially because knowing that this is going to be at least assuming this is going to be a one season TV series, I do prefer this type of storytelling where, you know, the mysteries are there, but you know that they're not making it up as they go along. Like the answers are going to come to you slowly but surely. And when you do get them, it's going to all kind of make sense. Kind of like in the Watchmen television series, you know, not like Lost, where, you know, you could tell with Lost, they're like writing it as they go along. Here it feels like they actually know where it's all leading to. Sorry. I mean, I know people like Lost and everything. That's cool. Yeah.
I do.
I'm just saying, yeah.
I do like Lost. Like I got to defend Lost real quick. Listen, just so people know, because I don't think everybody's read this interview. Damon Lindelof did come out and say that series was supposed to be just 3 seasons long, but it became so popular that ABC wanted 10 seasons out of them, and literally for years he had to talk them down to less and less and less seasons, because he said after season 3, while they did have a story planned out, there is a lot of just planning, like going along, you know, just planning as you're going along and trying to carry it out as long as you possibly can. So there is some merit to that, Stuart. There really is.
Yeah,
man.
I just hated the way it ended.
Most people did. I loved it though. But but there is, I think, not only is that mystery a really great addition to the show, but I love the fact of how they managed to include the mystery into the theme of like sitcoms over these years. Like who would have thought about trying to connect these two kind of genres, if you will, and smashing them together and being able to put something really unique and creative on screen. Regardless if this episode was a little bit lackluster in certain areas, just the uniqueness and authenticity of this series in general is almost hard not to enjoy for me. Billy, real quick, has to say, who do you guys think is the villain of WandaVision? You think it's clearly Mephisto and Agatha's. Indy, is that right?
I don't think Agatha's a villain. I think Agatha is going to be looked at as a villain, but she's actually there trying to help. I think the whole thing is her trying to help. That's why you see a representation of her start off from the jump as a friend. Somebody who, if you pay attention to what she's doing, she keeps leading Wanda to answers, and it's Wanda who keeps walking away from the answers and like going the other direction. Mm-hmm. So I honestly think it might be something like this, is to put it in like terms that everybody understands. This is a vision quest that Wanda's in to figure some stuff out, and she's just really bad at it.
What about you, Stuart? Who do you think Mephisto is the villain? Or like, for me, I'm still leaning towards Wanda. I wouldn't be surprised if there's somebody else pulling her strings, but who do you think is the villain of this season so far? Or
I was gonna say Wanda, honestly.
Yeah, I definitely am leaning towards Wanda. I would be completely cool with the idea if Mephisto popped up. I really would love for him to be the villain in here, but I am definitely leaning towards Mephisto. Let's see here. Dino says the old black and white sitcom format is strange but cool and unique for a Marvel series. Elizabeth Olsen equals Bay, and I think Indy would definitely agree with you there, man. I tell you, Elizabeth Olsen's already gorgeous, but I honestly feel as though, I feel like maybe her prime or her time probably was in like the 70s. Like, I honestly feel like she fits the role of these characters so incredibly well. She's such a talented actress. Like, I love seeing her play these kind of sitcom roles.
So what you're saying is she should have played the Olsen twins.
Yeah, she clearly is the better of all three of them. She's clearly the better of all three of them. Let's see. My boy Michael, what's up, Michael? He says, I feel like the people who hate the show so far doesn't really get on what is happening. Again, I'm curious where is Wanda, and why is this happening to her? Not to mention, Vision is gone. Yeah, he's not alive, and yet he's very much presenting him as a human person, or at least actually there physically. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I do want to bring something up about that comment. And I think that the people who aren't really into the show right now, I think that once the show has come out and all 9 episodes are available, once you're able to actually like binge the show, because that feels like what this kind of a show is meant to be done, or it feels like binging is what you're meant to do with this type of a show. So I feel like once all 9 episodes come out and anyone can just binge the entire series, essentially the love for the show will definitely increase, and a lot of people who aren't fully on board with it are going to really enjoy like the bigger picture, essentially.
And I do think that as we do get further along, when we do get more cinematic episodes, I think people will probably be a little bit more drawn to it, if you will. But I do think you're right about the binging idea. What were we gonna say, Indy? I'm sorry.
I think the issue is that every time we've seen Wanda, she's been a badass. Like, you know what I'm saying? People aren't used to seeing her in this light, you know, because look, she's a character through the movies that really had no development at all. She was just jumping from, you know what I'm saying, level to level, and you really not to get to sit with her. Now that you're sitting with her and actually getting to be inside her head and what's going on and everything, it seems strange to people because she's always had one focused goal on which she was trying to complete whenever you were following her character. Now her character feels like it has no direction, and sometimes it throws a little people off.
Yeah, I will say this, man. I feel like out of all the Avengers, I feel like Wanda definitely was the the most underrated on the team as far as like showcase, not really getting in a lot of spotlight. Except for some of the moments that she's had with Vision, if you will. But I do love the fact that this is allowing her to kind of step up front a little bit. I think Endgame was definitely a tease to show you how powerful Wanda is. And so I do think that there is a fascination with her now to kind of showcase exactly why Thanos was so frightened of her in the first place. And so for her to actually just have sort of a show of her own and have Elizabeth Olsen be able to showcase herself and her talent and really just kind of open up her range, not only for her, but her performances and her character in general. I think this is just going to make her and Wanda just huge pivotal roles going forward for our Avengers, and really allow them to kind of step up, because they were kind of like that B group, if you will, B level group type of thing of Avengers. But now it feels as though they're probably definitely going to be taking their rightful place at some place. We'll see what happens with Wanda though by the end of this. I feel like her arc is going to be a long one, going to take her from here to Doctor Strange to maybe even Spider-Man 3. So she's going to definitely be getting a ton of focus here, which I think is definitely warranted.
People need to remember, if it wasn't for the fact that Thanos had artillery, Scarlet Witch would have killed him herself.
Definitely. Who are you? You'll see. And here we go. We got what's up? My boy Daniel coming through. He says WandaVision is somewhat a similarity of the Matrix, especially the first episode. But I know she's trying to break out the dream, but in the magic realm. It says the show is badass in general, something new and different, and a step into different realms. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Daniel, for sure, man.
So back into the episode with the name drop that we got of Quicksilver, do you guys think that because we've seen that she's able to bring Vision back to life, we might end up seeing I forgot the actor's name, but yeah, the guy that played Quicksilver in Age of Ultron? Do you think we might be seeing him as a quote unquote guest star like we normally do in those type of sitcoms, like how you have like the one-off appearances? Do you think we might get something like that with him?
I would love to see that. I would also love to see her try and bring her back, but accidentally bring Evan Peters in. That's my mistake. That would be awesome. I would love to see that happen. But yeah, I do think a Quicksilver will pop in here also. I mean, I think the idea of her having twins, the idea of her brother being brought up in this episode, her clearly being really emotional about the loss of her brother, almost like she was kind of reliving it again, like almost like it was like something that she forgot or was trying to forget. It does make me feel as though he might pop back up in here, just with the importance of the idea of twins in general.
This is something that I think he's going to be represented. I don't think he's going to pop up, but this is another thing I think, because Quicksilver is really dead. I don't think Vision is dead. I really still think Shuri has his mind downloaded on a chip somewhere. I really do feel we have Vision pop back up. It's just that they don't have that body, but they do have his programming.
I will say this, Indy, just going off of that, the idea of Vision not being dead, when I look at the trailer for WandaVision, I swear that there's a moment in the trailer where she's kind of interacting with the Mind Stone. And I don't know if that's a flashback sequence to something that happens with her in Infinity War, but it feels very much like when you watch the trailer, like she either touches it and it explodes in front of her, and she's kind of absorbed sort of in this ability, in this power, if you will. And I'm wondering if that means like that's a part of Vision that's kind of like now stuck with her or within her, like his living embodiment is now within her. Maybe that's how she's able to kind of project him, if you will. So we'll see if that's how it turns out. But I do think that there's certainly a different way for them, an interesting way for them to certainly bring Vision back, for sure.
That could be definitely something too, because we got to remember her powers were manifested from the was it manifested from the Tesseract or for the Mind Stone with their powers?
I want to say it was a Tesseract. The Mind
No,
Stone?
it's the Mind Stone. The one, because that was, Loki's staff was the Mind Stone, and they used that to they didn't create her powers with the Mind Stone. The Mind Stone brought her powers out.
Made them manifest. Yeah.
What was the gem that Vision had? The yellow one. Was that the Mind Stone?
That was the Mind Stone, yeah.
Oh, it just turned yellow?
Once they cracked open the stone that was in the staff, it was yellow inside. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
so I'm thinking that's why, because they were both kind of like manifested from the same thing. Also, why I think they were so close to each other. You know what I'm saying? Because they had a connection that nobody else had. So I think that's part of the reason too, because I think that everybody that has something to do with it, just like the Soul Stone, people's souls getting trapped in it. I think the Mind Stone has a connection for everybody that it affects the same way also.
Man, I cannot wait, man. I cannot wait to see how they're going to turn this up. I'm really excited for it. Like, even like I said before, even though there was moments in here where just the episode tended to get a little bit away from me, I did chuckle at the idea of a 9-month pregnancy in 30 minutes. I thought that was pretty neat. Even the little dad jokes that Paul Bettany had as Vision when he catches the fruit and he says, "Man, I can't." He's like, "I'm so excited," or "I can't wait to be a papaya." I thought that was. I appreciate a good dad joke. I really do. I absolutely loved it. He's on his way. And I will say this, man. As much as we've praised Elizabeth Olsen in here, and I praised Paul Bettany last week, and I gotta praise Paul Bettany again. I love the fact that they're allowing him to just actually be a character, to actually like let a little bit more of himself out, because this really just shows me the bond between Vision and Wanda so much better than I feel like the movies were able to certainly provide for us, because it definitely feels as though they're a little bit more grounded, being themselves and things like that. So I love just seeing all the personalities that they're showing in here.
Definitely.
Yo, I've been rocking with Paul Bettany since like 2001, man.
Was that Knight's Tale? That's where I first saw him and fell in love with him. Was Knight's Tale.
Knight's Tale. Ever since Knight's Tale, I knew he could play any role that he needed to play, and that's I expected from him. I didn't expect this type of performance from Elizabeth Olsen. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. Like her being able to just switch her tone, her roles, and everything, you know what I'm saying, that she's going with as they're transitioning through these different type of sitcoms, and her really just it gets to the point where now I want her to have a sitcom. Like I want her to have her own sitcom where she's just like a mom doing something, because she showed me that she could play that role. Like she's just that dope. And I guess it comes from her sisters being on a sitcom, or like maybe it's from being around that lifestyle growing up, man. She got this down packed. And them two together, I'm so glad they do that is them two cast as Wanda and Vision. Because I remember when they got cast, I was like, really? Like Elizabeth? Oh, but now I wouldn't have anybody that's like Hugh Jackman with Wolverine. That's like, you know what I'm saying? Like they were meant for that role, period.
It's funny. I think what really helps her performance in this show is now that she's no longer being held back by trying to have an accent. Now that she no longer has to, work on having a fake accent the entire time, she's able to just kind of act as, be herself a lot more. And I think it makes it so she's it helps it so she's it's a lot easier for her, I think, to focus on emotions and not having to focus on presenting those emotions with, a fake accent.
And I think it also helps that Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans are nowhere to be found. So it allows her to be kind of like focused a little bit more, you know what I mean? And really showcase what she's capable of doing. So yeah, like I said, I'm glad that she's definitely getting that spotlight. I think Elizabeth and Paul definitely deserve it, man. So so far 3 episodes in, enjoying the series for sure. Definitely looking forward to episode 4. I'm not quite sure how many episodes we're supposed to be getting, but I believe they said in total it's supposed to be up about like 6 hours or so, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll definitely be here each and every Friday for you guys to continue to do reviews for you. If it's not the whole group, it'll be either 2 of us or 1 of us. So we'll definitely be here for you guys for the next couple of weeks when it comes to WandaVision. So other than that, guys, before we go ahead and go, any last words that you guys want to say about this episode? And then go ahead and let everybody know where they can certainly find you on social media.
Just it may be underwhelming, but it still has me intrigued all the way through. So I'm definitely really looking forward to episode 4.
And where can they find you, Stuart, on social media?
Yeah, if you guys want to follow me, you guys can follow me here at TurboStew01.
Awesome. And of course, Indy, any last thoughts on the episode? And then where can people find you on social media, sir?
The stork knows all.
Hashtag the stork knows.
The stork knows. You can find me at Nerd Mix Alpha everywhere. You can find me right here at A Plus a Hero Report. New episode of Anime Assembled up tomorrow.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, and you can check me out, Andy Uchiha, for music everywhere.
Awesome. Well, guys, I always appreciate each and every one of you certainly joining us, man. Thank you very much for taking your time out of your week to join us for some WandaVision discussions. And of course, listen, guys, if you want to certainly follow us on social media, you can definitely do so right here at A Plus Opinions. You can find us very active on our Facebook page, very active over on Twitter as well. And definitely check us out on Instagram or Twitch for you gamers if you certainly would like to. But we'll definitely be back next Friday, guys. Same Wanda channel, same Wanda time. So I guess other than that, do us a big favor, guys. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And as always, keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.